Hello, my name is Anjani Segrist, and this is the new moon astrology report for December 28th, and the exact time of the new moon is going to be 10:53 p.m., and that's tomorrow for us here. I live in San Diego, so this is Pacific time in the US. And what we're looking at is the sun and moon being an exact conjunction right next to Mercury. So the sun and moon are at 7 degrees and 59 minutes of Capricorn, in the sign of Capricorn, with Mercury right there. I just read the Mercury report, but overall, the flare of the Mercury retrograde cycle that we're currently in has to do with transformation. Pluto, the planet of initiations, of death and rebirth initiation, is right next to Mercury for the Mercury retrograde cycle. It started off there anyway. Mercury moves quickly, so it's not there now. Actually, it's pretty far from Pluto now. Pluto is still where it was, 16 degrees of Capricorn, and Mercury's already way over here at 6 degrees Capricorn. So for the new moon, we're still looking at Mercury being a part of what we're experiencing. So I'd recommend watching that Mercury video to really get a full understanding of what I'm talking about here. So anytime there's a new moon point, that's the moment for setting your intentions. I like to plant seeds. I lick the seed, put it in the earth. Me and my 3-year-old son will do that on the new moon. And as I'm doing that, I'm taking whatever my intention is and literally placing it in the earth, covering it up, and letting the earth hold that for me. And they almost always grow. I have a little backyard space here that has beautiful plants, edibles and medicinals, and it's wonderful. And it's just a really good way for me, and whatever way you like to set your intentions. The way I used to do it was I have a moon journal, so every new moon and full moon I'll write out. And during the new moon point, you write your intentions. What is it that you're holding as your intent for engaging with life? For this new moon, it's the first one of the year, so we call this the first moon of the year. And this would be the time that if you're gonna set, like traditionally in the US we do New Year's resolution, and I call it New Year Evolution. And this would be the time to do it. Actually, the first moon of the year, if you like to follow not the calendar, but the actual movement of the sky and the planets, this is the time to do it. So it's helpful to see what the sky is saying to us so that we can co-create with nature and with the movements of nature. So with Mercury, the planet of perception, cognition, communication, being right next to this new moon point, I would say that it's really going to be helpful for us to actually do something that is working with our communication. So I actually just completed a program that I made to engage with your own psyche, your own consciousness, your own thinking function. It's called Creating Your Own Mythology Workbook. And then there's a bigger program which is called The Embodiment of Astrology. I made these programs both free until the 1st of January. So, I'll put the link here. Go online, download it, do the exercises in the workbook. The full program has videos that you can watch and more information, but the workbook alone is going to be really, really helpful for you in getting to your base material, finding out what is your basic programming so that you can decide what you want to be holding in your thinking function so that you can create your life from a place of conscious co-creation instead of just running on programs. So that's what that program is for. I think it's really good. I haven't had much feedback yet because I just put it out this month. And it was the full program was $77 and the workbook was $27, I think, and it's free now. So try it out. This is the time to do it before you set your intentions. Like, just get really clear in your understanding of who you are and what you're doing before setting your intentions can be really helpful. So some of the things that I want to mention here, we have Saturn square to Chiron. Saturn is a lot like Capricorn. So I like to refer to it in Ayurveda terms, we call it kapha. This is what is the bones, the meat, the structure. Saturn is it tells us about the way that we structure our own life, the way that we are the authority in our own life. We all have this part of us that is an authoritarian. How much that is running in your life varies from person to person. But right now, Saturn is square to Chiron. Chiron is the part of us that digests our wounds. We call this the wounded healer. I like to call it the alchemist because Chiron is a way that we will heal our own wounds or be able to digest the information and the way that we have experienced painful situations or the way that we have experienced difficulty. And the intent of Chiron is for us to really get power, to be able to have those, it's a part of life. Death is a part of life. It's, death and rebirth. It's a part of life. And the way that we're going to deal with death is, for a human, it's our most gross way of actualizing something that is a natural process. And there's many phases of we're dying. It's like we're all dying. We're all living and we're all dying at the same time. So Chiron is the part of us that will gather the juice of that process. And from the most painful things, there's a speck of power in that we're able to take the power and use that to energize ourselves. So in homeopathy, they'll take some poison and pound it, a million, quadrillion, bazillion times, and we call that vibrational healing. So this is a similar energy of Chiron. And what I really want to point out at this moment is that I'm saying Saturn, I'm saying Chiron, talking about Mercury. These are all correspondence planets, a way to co-respond to parts of the human psyche. We have all of this energy within us. And when I'm looking at a chart, I know that Mercury is like my communication. Chiron is like the part of me that is the healer. Saturn is like the part of me that sets my structure in my life. Venus is the part of me that experiences beauty and that perceives beauty and loves beauty. Mars is the part of me that has eros and aggression and able to protect myself and stand up for something. So each one of these relates to a part of the human psyche. And that's really outlined and detailed in the two pieces of work that I mentioned here. So, yes. Here, let's just mention the next thing. We talked about Saturn and Chiron. Now let's talk about Pluto being square to Jupiter here. Jupiter expands anything it touches, makes it bigger, larger than life. And Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth, underworld initiations, and I need to stop right now. And one of my good friends and clients messaged me a few days ago. Actually, it was before the full moon, and was like, oh, the full moon. And I was like, yeah, it's really, I said something because Pluto, I will get to reading that full moon because I want to, and it's retrograde cycle, so I'm going to go back and read that. But I said, yeah, it's really about bringing the shadow up and integrating the shadow. And he said, you always say that. So I thought about that for a while, and I was like, is it me? I know it is, because I'm the one interpreting what I'm seeing here. I'm giving my interpretation of what I'm reading. And I know that a big part of me, and I have my chart here, and I have Pluto square to my moon, who is right next to Jupiter. So this is something that I carry on a regular basis, is the shadow. And something that I've been working with intensely for the last 3 years is integrating the shadow. So if Jupiter is this planet of expansion and light and being jovial and fun, and I have that, at conjunction to the moon being the ancestry, the lineage, connection to the mother, the emotions. And Jupiter's there, jovial, light, also expanded. And I have Pluto squared to that. So there would be this constant pull between light and dark, the underworld and the celestial. And it's like ingrained in me. And we all have all of these energies. But from my chart, it's like, yeah, that's, part of my task in this lifetime, in this experience in my body, is to bridge light and dark. And at some level, I feel like that's all of our task. So when I'm reading these, I take that into consideration. I really thank you for Mr. you who said that to me. That I always do say that, because that's something that's very important to me, to not be light polarized, to not be shadow polarized, to be able to bridge those two. But also that Pluto is a prime player in a lot of what's happening astrologically for, I would say, at least the last 4 years. It's been a prime player in what we're looking at. So and all the planets are, there's always something that is of the celestial, like Uranus. Uranus is up here right now. So let's look at Uranus. Uranus is actually square to Pluto. So it's something that we're all experiencing, the celestial and the underworld. So light, dark, bridging those things. I'm not making that up. It's not that it's just me. It's like, that's really happening. And Uranus and Pluto both move very slowly. So it's an ongoing issue that we are being directly asked to work with, bridging light and dark. So I'm going to stop with that for the new moon astrology report. And thank you so much for watching this. I'm going to read the new moon, the full moon, now that I didn't get a chance to at the beginning of the month. Thank you so much. Please leave a comment, subscribe. I really love interacting with you and enjoy the feedback a lot. And so thank you.